Somewhere in the bowels of the city that never sleeps
Kevin McCullough, radio host with Salem Media,
is a man also not sleeping.
Syndicated radio talk show host Kevin McCullough.
And that guy would like a word with you.
Many of you know him as Nostradamus.
Of course that Kevin show is going to be great. The only thing that could be greater, of course, would be that Donald show. But we don't have that, so we have that Kevin show.
Featuring the music of Dick Tunney and the Dream in Color Orchestra. And tonight on That Kevin Show, he's the senator who's written the book on manhood, Josh Hawley. She is fighting to end Jew hatred, Brooke Goldstein. And he would like you to visit the Oasis of Hope, Dr. Francisco Contreras. And from the Music Spotlight, a live visit to the Eras Tour with Taylor Swift. And now, from Times Square, where the students of Hofstra University are fighting pizza rats to return stolen bags to their rightful owners. Here's that Kevin.
Well, welcome to Saturday. Couldn't be happier than to have you with us. Kevin McCullough coming to you live from Times Square. We have got an enormous show for you tonight, friends. We have got a U.S. Senator. We've got a worldwide recognized leader in the fight against anti-Semitism, and we have the biggest show, the hardest ticket to get a ticket to right now, with a live look in a couple of times tonight at the Eras Tour with Taylor Swift. You do not want to miss even 1 minute of tonight's show. It's just that big. It's just that important. Welcome in, Kevin McCullough. Glad to have you with us. Yes, the Hofstra students. First of all, I want to say right off the bat, a beloved thank you to Michael Harrison, who hosted once again at Hofstra University. Not that he does it there every year, but this year he did it again at Hofstra University, which may have the best doggone communications program on the globe when it comes for students wanting to get into media. But their School of Communications kind of served as a host for the Talkers 2023 convention. And this is where the most important talk media hosts in the world come together once a year to talk about things that are going on in the industry, how to make the industry better, et cetera, et cetera. Lots and lots of friends I had there this year. Old bosses, people that I was a producer for back in the day, and people that have gone on to fame and glory and are all around me. It was so much fun. If I tried to name all of them off the top of my head, I couldn't, but it was fun to run into Brian Kilmeade, Guy Benson, Sandy Rios, Frank Morano. Who else did I hang out with? There were just a ton, and they were all spread out through the talk radio galaxy. But it's really changed because, the media by which a lot of people get their day-to-day talk audio is no longer on actual radios. In fact, there was a whole subsection of the day kind of dedicated to how do you continue to get the message out in a world that's not using radios anymore. But what a great time. Ran into Larry O'Connor, Rich Valdez, my very good friends Larry, those of you watching on the Salem News Channel, you know that I'm here 9 o'clock Saturday and Sunday nights, but you know that Larry is here Monday through Friday. And we got to hang out together. Rich Valdez, funny story about Rich Valdez, who took, I think it was Art Bell's place. No, Jim Bohannon's place. And Rich used to be the call screener for Mark Levin. And he worked around the hallways of WABC a little bit, did some other things. But Rich was there. He was on one of the panels. Funny story about Rich. I'm driving to the Talkers Convention yesterday. I'm listening back and forth between my morning man, Joe Piscopo, on AM 970 here in New York City. And I'm listening to Curtis Sliwa on AM 770 WABC. And I'm kind of confused because Curtis doesn't do the morning show on WABC. He hasn't done it in a really long time. When I first moved to New York 180 years ago, he and it was Curtis and Kuby were the morning team that Phil Boyce, one of my bosses now, was their boss at the time. And they had the best morning show in America. They had an enormous share. I think it was like a 7 share, a 10 share. And in New York at that time, that was a really big number. The only person in New York radio now that gets anywhere close to that is actually my buddy Frank Morano, who's working overnights on 77 WABC. He gets sometimes a 10, 12, 15 share. I think one quarter he had a 22 share. But almost 1 out of every 5 to 10 radios that are in use right now in the overnight hours in New York City are tuned to Frank Morano overnights, and it was fun to hang out with him. He and I were at AM 970 together for a long time, and it was just a great time to remember all the great things about the industry that we've come up in and love. But I have to say, a big thank you to Michael Harrison. For having Arthur Idala was another one. He's one of my colleagues now at AM 970. John Katzimatidis was there, the owner of 77 WABC, and also heard on AM 970. It was just everybody knows everybody. Funny thing about I mentioned Sandy Rios, Guy Benson, who works for Fox News Radio now, and yours truly, were the last 2 main producers that she had while she was still doing radio. She also worked for American Family Radio for a while, and now she's doing her own podcast, and there was a lot on podcasting there. But Phil Boyce was back. He doesn't live in the New York area anymore, but he was back visiting for the conference. It was just great to see everybody there. And the reason that it's so important is because Michael Harrison, who I don't know his politics. I'm going to guess he's not a conservative, but I could be wrong. To be honest, he's never made it an issue for anybody that he's helped or worked with in the talk radio industry, because his issue is free speech. His issue is the First Amendment. His issue is the right for people to have a microphone, to be able to crack it open, as Arthur Idala learned about yesterday. You crack the mic and you talk to the world about what is going on and how you see it. And Michael Harrison believes strongly that whether you're Sean Hannity or Alan Colmes, rest his soul, that you deserve the right to have, the ability to say what's on your mind and to speak freely. That's why they gave the Freedom of Speech Award this year to Tavis Smiley. They gave the Humanitarian of the Year award posthumously to the late Jim Thompson, who I only had a chance to know in his last probably 5 to 6 years on the planet. He was the head of the Broadcasters Association Foundation, and he was doing great work. He would help the families of broadcasters who would experience difficult times. And I know his son, Jim Thompson Jr., Jim Thompson Sr. was the awardee of the Humanitarian of the Year award. Just such an enormously cool day for our industry. And so thank you to Michael Harrison. Thank you to all of the Talkers team, David Burstein, everybody else. We appreciate what you're doing to keep speech free in America. Now, speaking of keeping speech free, real quickly, I want to touch on this story. FBI Director Wray last week thought he was going to be able to just, treat Congress like knuckleheads. James Comer's committee has said, you need to bring forward this piece of paper, and it needs to come, and it's unclassified, so there's no reason to keep it. Mr. Wray said, oh, well, we want to keep it in a safe little spot over at the FBI. You can come over and look at it there. And Mr. Comer said, nope, it's unclassified. The American people need to see it. And what does this document actually indicate? Well, this is the real interesting part. It's a document called an FD 1023. I don't know what any of that means, but that's how it's classified. And it demonstrates proof that then Vice President Joe Biden was involved in a $5 million criminal bribery scheme with a foreign national. It proves it. This document, this FD 1023, proves that then Vice President Joe Biden was involved in a bribery scheme with a foreign national that pocketed $5 million. Senator Chuck Grassley knows about it. James Comer knew about it. and the American people need to know about it. And that's been the opinion of the Oversight Committee. And Christopher Wray didn't think it was important, didn't think it was necessary, didn't think that the American people really deserved to have a look-see at it. Well, he was wrong. And he got proven wrong. And now, after kind of playing a game of chicken back and forth with whether or not he was going to do it, he has finally agreed to make public the content of the Form FD 1023 that proves that then Vice President Joe Biden was involved in a bribery scheme. Now, talk about impeachable offenses. I'm sure we shall. Kevin McCullough, stay with us.